Born beneath the ancient battlements of Shrouded Castle on 30th of August 1548, Lady Mary Seymour entered the world already swaddled in great expectations. She was a child of history, the only daughter of Queen Catherine Parr, the last wife of Henry VIII, and her daring fourth husband, Sir Thomas Seymour, Baron of Shrouded. A daughter of a queen, she was a potential bridge between the old order and the uncertain new. Before we get started, if you want to support the channel and find all my links in one place, just scan the QR code on screen. It'll take you to Patreon, my social media, my books, everything's there. Now don't worry if you miss the code now, I'll show it again at the end of the video. So thanks for your support, and now let's get into this week's story. Her parents' joy was uncontainable. In a teasing letter to his beloved wife, Thomas playfully wished that their unborn little knave would be so slim from Catherine's good diet and exercise that he might creep through a mouse hole. His teasing, though, masked a deeper anxiety. Childbirth was the most dangerous ordeal a Tudor woman could face, and Catherine, already past 35, bore the risk heavily. Catherine, for her part, delighted in the signs of life stirring within her. In another letter, she described how the baby, like an honest man, kicked spiritedly beneath her hand. In those intimate, unguarded words we glimpsed not queenship, but simple, private hope, a mother eager to share this miracle with the man she loved. But fate, as so often in Tudor England, was cruel. Barely 6 days after giving birth, Catherine fell ill, with the telltale signs of puerperal fever, a brutal, swift infection that no physician could cure. As her strength ebbed away, Catherine prepared for the inevitable. She dictated her will with painful clarity, giving all her worldly possessions to her husband, entrusting him, and by extension, her newborn daughter, to God's mercy. The Queen's servant Elizabeth Tywit reported during Thomas's downfall in February 1549, that 2 days prior to Catherine's death, that she did fear such things in herself, and that she was sure she could not live. Catherine requested to write her will, and in it she said,
"Lying on her deathbed, sick in body, but of good mind, perfect memory and discretion, being persuaded and perceiving the extremity of death to approach her, disposed and ordained by the permission, assent and consent of her most dear, beloved husband, the Lord Seymour aforesaid, a certain disportion, gift, testament, and last will of all her goods, chattels, and debts, by these words or other, like in effect, being by her advisedly spoken to the intent of a testament and last will in the presence of the witnesses and records undernamed. That is to say, the said most noble Queen, by permission, consent, and assent, aforesaid did not only, with all her heart and desire, frankly and freely give, will and bequeath to the said Lord Seymour, Lord High Admiral of England, her married espouse and husband, all the goods, chattels, and debts that she then had, or of right ought to have in all the world, wishing them to be 1,000 times more in value than they were or been, but also most liberally gave him full power, authority, and order to dispose and prosecute the same goods, chattels, and debts at his own free will and pleasure to his most commodity."
The witnesses to her will were Catherine's physician, Robert Hewick, and her chaplain, John Parkhurst. On the 5th of September 1548, Queen Catherine Parr, once the most powerful woman in England, died at Shrouded Castle. She never had the chance to hold her daughter in her arms. Now fatherless and motherless within a year, Lady Mary's future, once so dazzling, teetered on a knife's edge. Thomas Seymour's downfall was spectacular and swift. Never content to play a secondary role at court, he schemed recklessly for power, including a dangerously ill-judged flirtation with the teenage Princess Elizabeth. In January 1549 he was arrested for treason. By March he met the executioner's blade on Tower Hill. Before his death, Thomas made one final request, that his infant daughter be placed in the care of Catherine Willoughby, the Dowager Duchess of Suffolk, a woman known for her loyalty to Catherine Parr and her Protestant faith. Thus Lady Mary was shuttled away from Sudeley, first into the care of her uncle, the Lord Protector Somerset, at Sion House. There, amid the crumbling remnants of a dissolved abbey, her life was caught in limbo, a child surrounded by grandeur but stripped of her inheritance and protection. At last she was sent north to Grimsthorpe Castle, the seat of the Duchess of Suffolk. Grimsthorpe should have been a refuge, but it was a place of struggle. The money promised for Mary's maintenance, nearly £500 a year, never reached the Duchess. In letter after letter, Catherine Willoughby pleaded for aid, describing the weight of caring for the Queen's daughter without support. By late 1549, desperation oozed from her pen.
The Queen's child hath lain, and yet doth lie at my house, with her company about her wholly at my charges, whose voices mine ears may hardly bear, but my coffers much worse.
It wasn't just the child herself who needed care. Mary had a full household, a governess, nurse, maids and attendants, all needed paying. A royal upbringing demanded raw resources, and without them the Queen's daughter quickly became a burden few wished to bear. By January 1550, a glimmer of hope appeared. Parliament restored Mary Seymour's right to inherit whatever scraps of her father's estates remained, but it was too little, too late. Most of the Seymour wealth had already been swallowed up by the Crown or redistributed to more powerful players, and then she disappears. After the 22nd of January 1550, Lady Mary vanishes from every record. No guardianship transfer, no marriage negotiations, no recorded death, just silence. Historians have debated her fate for centuries. Some, like John Strype and Edmund Lodge, believe she died young, perhaps of illness, perhaps simply of neglect. The Dowager Duchess of Suffolk herself lost her two sons to the sweating sickness in 1551, and it is plausible that Mary too fell victim to the same merciless disease. Others, like the romantic Victorian Agnes Strickland, clung to brighter possibilities. Family lore whispered of a secret marriage to Sir Edward Bushell and descendants hidden among the English gentry. But these stories passed down in dim memories and fading manuscripts, having no firm documentary proof. Even Catherine Parr's faithful chaplain, John Parkhurst, seemed to mourn Mary's brief life in a melancholy epitaph.
I whom at the cost of her own life my queenly mother bore with the pangs of labour, sleep under this marble, an unfit traveller. If death had given me to live longer, that virtue, that modesty, that obedience of my excellent mother, that heavenly courageous nature would have lived again in me. Now whomever, you are, fare thee well, because I cannot speak any more. This stone is a memorial to my brief life.
So was this for Lady Mary? Almost certainly, and it hints at a life lost too soon, a light snuffed out before it could even begin to shine. We know this much. By the time Mary would have been a young woman, her name had faded even from whispered court gossip. There are no petitions for marriage, no court appearances, and no desperate suitors seeking her royal bloodline. It's likely, heartbreakingly likely, that Lady Mary Seymour died in early childhood, unremembered by all but a few. Perhaps she lies beneath some anonymous stone, her royal lineage buried with her mother's legacy reduced to a few scraps of silver nursery plate, and a cradle never filled again. The Tudors left behind towering figures, Henry's thunderous reign, Elizabeth's golden age, but in the long shadows they cast, delicate lives like Lady Mary's flickered and went unnoticed. History remembers the mighty, and it often forgets the small. But for a moment, let us remember Lady Mary Seymour, the lost child of a lost queen. Like mist over the moors, the truth slipped away, leaving only questions. Some say she died young, her death so ordinary it was never recorded. Others whisper that she survived, hidden by those who feared what a Tudor heir might bring in an age of suspicion and religious strife. A queen's daughter spirited away into obscurity, her true identity lost to time. Perhaps the final clue still lies waiting somewhere, tucked away in an old family Bible or an unmarked grave. Until then, Lady Mary Seymour remains a ghost at the edge of history, not forgotten, but never fully found. If you missed the opportunity at the start of this video, then here's your second chance. If you'd like to support the channel and find all my links, just scan the QR code on screen. It'll take you to Patreon, social media, and even my books. Every bit of support helps me keep making videos like this. Even a thumbs up or a comment on the video increases its chances of being seen by more people. I really appreciate you being here, so thanks for watching.